Before we start, shall we maybe have each of the panelists have a brief introduction of your background, yourself, what's interesting in Bitcoin, why you guys are interested in it?
Thank you very much for having me. Good morning, or I guess close to good afternoon, everybody. My name is Luke Pearson. I'm general partner and head of research at Polychain Capital. So it's a digital asset investments VC in crypto space. Hopefully a couple of you guys know it. If not, feel free to grab me afterwards and I'll talk about it. I'm also the head of research, which I think is the piece which has drawn my attention and interest into Bitcoin most recently by some nature and training, a cryptographer. So a lot of the things I did sort of 2016 to 2021, a lot of the zero knowledge and scaling work has now been actually from L2 Iterative Ventures and other players and protocols around us, has come into sort of fruition in this level of Bitcoin renaissance. So I'd like to, for the first time, see what's become, I think, a honeypot from outside, well, outside at least the crypto sphere or crypto bubble, and like lots of real world understanding, and then real technical innovation inside. So that's drawn me very much too, and in that capacity, I've done a little bit of research, but a fair amount of investing in the last sort of 18 months in this space, and hopefully, maybe on the back of some of the lessons I learned today, a little bit more.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. I'm a co-founder of ABCDE. We have been in crypto for 11 years, and we also the co-founder of Hobby, so we have a lot of Bitcoins. That's why we devote our time and the capital in Bitcoin ecosystem, because we want to make our Bitcoin useful. So really excited to see that there are a lot of innovations in Bitcoin ecosystem today. Yeah, I'm happy to talk about it later.
I'm the founder and general partner of Foresight Ventures. Foresight Ventures, I founded Foresight Ventures in 2021, and we aim to bridge the crypto industry east and west. And besides the investment business, we have like 4 media platform, The Block, Foresight News, CoinList, and Block Temple. So we use our strong network to provide the value to our portfolio. We are also very active in Bitcoin ecosystem. Yeah, so very happy to be here to discuss with other friends. Yeah.
It's an honor to be here. First off, thank you very much, BTCON, for putting together this fabulous conference, spearheading the Bitcoin innovation ecosystem in Korea. All right, so it's an honor to be here. My name is Albert. I'm CEO and founder of the Bitcoin Startup Lab. We help founders go from ideation to investment ready in record time. That's what all our serial founders that join our program say. We've done that over 5 cohorts. Before then, we did 21 cohorts agnostically. So globally, we're probably one of the leaders for ideation to investment-ready startups. We turn it into a science, right? There's a scientific sequence. You go through 12 weeks. We help you do co-founder matching. And then afterwards, we line you up with pre-seed investors on Bitcoin. And so to your second question about, you know, why is it so important for us to be in Bitcoin, right? So in collaboration with, you know, BTCON, I see BitLayer out there, I see Domo, some of our students, collectively, right? And we're working with a few hundred technology providers, investors, et cetera. So we're globally the largest innovation platform now for Bitcoin innovation. But why is it so important to us? It's because Bitcoin represents freedom. You know, it's sort of like global warming. No one really cares about global warming until the polar ice caps start melting, and everyone has to get behind, you know, solving the global warming problem. So Bitcoin, to me, at the very first thing is it represents the alternative ecosystem for decentralized finance. Thanks.
Thank you. And last but not least, so I'm Kevin Lee, the managing partner of L2 Iterative Ventures. We're the Web3 investment arm of L2 Capital. We're also one of the co-hosts of today's conference, and hope you guys have been enjoying all the speakers and panelists so far. And the reason why, as a firm, we're interested in Bitcoin is, honestly, we're in it for the money. What I mean by that is we want to make Bitcoin like a medium of exchange. So that's why we're very interested in solutions or innovations that actually make Bitcoin money, something that we can exchange, right? So that's what's really driving us to look into the space. What are some of the innovative trends that you guys are seeing at Bitcoin that's really capturing your attention? Maybe Luke, you can start off.
Yeah. I think there's You can like dichotomize it to a little bit what I spoke about in the introduction of the technical side, and then sort of, I guess we can say like activity and buy-in. On the technical side, there's been like one of two paths. There's sort of fundamental iterative tooling on the side of like Nubit and Babylon, and something like maybe Appro, where it's not full swinging programmability, take your 8 years of ETH development, singing and dancing L2 and put it onto Bitcoin today. It's just a little bit further than time lock. We've just brought slashing, data availability on this side chain with a high censorship resistant point must be quicker than 4 megabytes a second. This sort of early stage development for probably more likely safe but less complex use cases. And then the other side, the kind of path B within the technical development, a lot of what like BitLayer, B squared, Pearson is doing rollups, Bob, BitVM, OPCat, a lot of that technical innovation, and I think there are two paths to that. But the driver of this has been the activity and buy-in. Also kind of has two paths, at least from within the community. I think ordinals, inscriptions, Lightning Network breaking, just taking interest, runes, driving for, and then I think maybe misunderstood or misrepresented, but the largest driving force is the macro environment buy-in. We have BlackRock, Finex, Fidelity, the largest financial players on the entire globe. They are stakeholders in this system through one asset, through Bitcoin. There's Bitcoin ETFs, the German government selling $2.4 billion right at the bottom, Donald Trump wanting to buy, and the American Treasury could do with great ease $1 million of Bitcoin to start moving back. And I think the extremity of that, not necessarily it's a bad thing, but the extremity, but the RFK Jr. plan to pre-1913 non-inflationary currency before Federal Reserve, before centrality, moving back into a currency denominated by a deflationary asset. So that holistically has drove this rebirth. And then once you have an enormous honeypot, one even beyond the $1.2 trillion of attraction that's created, you get a lot of this innovation and a lot of people coming.
Yeah, there are two major trends I can see in the market right now. The first is Bitcoin Fi. In the last cycle, Bitcoin is just like a storage or value. It's like a digital gold, and you just can use it to store value. But in this cycle, it has transformed itself into a yield-bearing asset. So you can get yield and get interest with your Bitcoins. There are a lot of native innovations like Babylon. You can have native staking yield, and like Lorenzo, like Lombard, and like Solve, you can stake your Bitcoins and create native yields. So this is the first innovation. I name it a Bitcoin Fi. You can use your Bitcoins to generate yield. So the Bitcoin whales like the Huobi whales, and we have a lot of Bitcoins like us. We can use our Bitcoins to generate yields. This is the first one. And the second one is that we can see there are a lot of innovation happening that make Bitcoin programmable and verifiable. So for example, BitLayer is making Bitcoin verifiable with their OPVM, and there's going to be some innovation like OPCat and BitVM, and we can use it to generate verification on Bitcoin Layer 1. So there are going to be a lot of innovation around BitVM and OPCat. So I think it's totally different in this cycle for Bitcoin. It has become an ecosystem rather than just a digital gold.
Like, given the current state of the market, like how are macroeconomic factors, geopolitical factors impacting your investment decisions with Bitcoin-related projects, especially given Bitcoin has always historically been classified as digital gold? Maybe Albert, you want to start first?
Yeah, I mean, we're in it for long term, so we actually like market dips because it scares away all the pretenders, right? And the real builders, the real founders, they stick around. So it actually makes our job easier. So when we recruit people at the idea stage, we know they're more serious. So in fact, when there's been some FUD on the market, is really good for us because when everyone else is running, we're charging. So we actually welcome these dips because we know long term it's going to just go up.
I think we are not fair with market situation, we only fear about lacking of innovation. So I think the data always shows the adoption rate of Bitcoin is always grow and very strongly. So I think, in my opinion, Bitcoin is much better than physical gold because it's easy to transfer, has limited supply. It's very fundamental thesis. And I think for now, we are in the second phase of Bitcoin investment. So we are also very bullish about the Bitcoin long-term ecosystem. Yeah.
Gotcha. I mean, there's a lot of interest with Bitcoin right now, with a lot of projects being built in the ecosystem. How are you guys evaluating these projects relative to how you guys look at projects back in the Ethereum ecosystem? Are there specific criteria you guys look at in particular for this ecosystem? Maybe Luke, you can.
Do you want to go? I don't want to take all your answers. Do you want to go first? It's up to you.
Okay, I'll go first.
Yeah.
We always look for like the category definers, like no matter it's in Bitcoin ecosystem or like Ethereum ecosystem. For example, we invested in Babylon, which is the leading staking projects in Bitcoin ecosystem. We invested in Lomba, Lorenzo, and Solve. They are the leaders in the restaking and like yield-bearing category in Bitcoin ecosystem. We are also looking at like leading layer 2s like BitLayer and BitSquare, etc. So they are the leaders in the Bitcoin scalability and programmable category. So as long as a project is leading or defining a category, we have interest to invest in this project. So if there is any founder or builder in here building in Bitcoin ecosystem, feel free to reach out to me. And we are also looking at the leader in Korean market because I think there's a lot of potential in Korean market. So yeah, I think there are a lot of Bitcoin holders in Korea. So if there is leaders in Korean market, we are also have a lot of interest.
I want to double click on the very first thing that you just said about the category definers. I think underpinning this question, depending whether you're sort of early stage like I am at Polychain and also from a personal interest and a personal edge, an enjoyer or a relisher, if not even a creator in some cases of the technical innovations, or if you're like a growth phase right at the end, I think takes the direction or guides the direction of this question. Category winners amongst those two paths that I explained at the first, and perhaps even a third, one that I have been ideating a little bit over this conference. It's more of a long shot to think about Bitcoins as the real payment system for ultrasound money for bots. But in such early stage, in Bitcoin phase 2, as far as calls it, but also just in the investment stage in general, I think thinking about how founders are looking at the category, thinking about what they're doing in terms of these sort of new behaviors, as far as that allows, so creating new technological innovations that allow for new behaviors. But the right at the start of the question is how does this differentiate between Bitcoin and ETH? And in that, super interesting for me. I don't always pick an answer, or maybe I have one and I reserve it for myself because it's important for new builders to be told that you're wrong. But how do they perceive these two assets? Are you looking at Bitcoin as censorship-resistant, ultrasound money, the most secure network on the world? And where do you think that's going to go with respect to Ethereum? Do you want to make it programmatic? Do you want to kind of reverse Satoshi's 2011 decisions of ripping out opcodes and putting VMs in and making maybe some more security considerations, shall we say, or some decentralization sacrifice? Or do you look for it in the case of like Babylon, as BMAN mentioned, as an asset at solely, over $1 trillion crypto economic value used to scale, used to bring liquidity to other systems? How people are thinking about the relationships between these different, in case proof of work and proof of stake networks, or Bitcoin and Ethereum, I think has been a very important guiding principle for me when assessing and reasoning about these investments with early stage founders.
Thank you. I think for us at L2IV, we don't think everything from Ethereum needs to be ported into Bitcoin, right? I think there's a lot of excitement today about a lot of the programmability into Bitcoin, but we don't think that necessarily needs to be the case. The next question, moving on, I know we're short of time here, but maybe to Albert and Forrest. Can you tell me an interesting project that you guys recently invested in the ecosystem? What made it stand out, and what was your thesis on that? Forrest, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I think we are super selective. So recently we only invested in Lombard. So I think it's obviously Lombard has a very outstanding team, and which shows in the technology, product, and fundraising capabilities. And I think Lombard is redefining the liquidity layer within Bitcoin ecosystem. It will create the base for the DeFi within Bitcoin. And I think, with Babylon mainnet now live, so I think the ecosystem is ready to grow very quickly. Yeah.
It's not like one project. You know, we have a lot of projects, but I think it's more important to point out how these projects come into existence, right? They, you know, when founders come to us, we're not accelerator, we're pre-accelerator, meaning that when we sign a contract, it's with the founder at the exploration stage. That's a really polite way to say that they have a bad idea, but they're talented, right? So our system, you know, you have to imagine over 100 speakers, right? Like if you imagine the Bitcoin ecosystem as a circle, right? So everything within the circle has been invented. Everything on the edge, right? Like, you know, Lombard, Babylon, like all these projects that you guys are talking about, like all of them are on the edge of this, what I call the Bitcoin innovation frontier, right? So they're pushing it outwards. They're pushing it outwards towards infrastructure, and building on top of that, you can build more stuff, right? So they all come to our, you know, 90% of the innovation leaders on Bitcoin come through our program and share the best stuff to founders when they're exploring their idea. When this collides with their previous experience, right, a new level of innovation emerges, right? And those are the ones that we're most excited about. Because part of our system, right, you'll find that any kind of great innovation starts with if you can find a group of customers that pull you into the project. You don't have to sell them, right? And so we let the founders, we lead them through a scientific process to find those gems. And those are the projects that we invest in.
Gotcha. So we only have a minute left. Maybe I'll have a final question here and open up to the floor. So we talked a lot about having BitVM, OPCat, making Bitcoin more programmable, and potentially having Bitcoin Fi. What do you guys see as the biggest challenges in making DeFi on Bitcoin like a reality? Maybe I'll open up to the floor. We talked about all the positives and bright outlook, but what are the challenges ahead that we got to overcome?
Go first. I think right now, Bitcoin is not natively programmable, so we need to have innovation like BMAN and OPCat, so that we can, you know, make verification and scalability on Bitcoin layer 1. So this is the most important challenge right now. And second is that the gas fee is pretty high. So that's why we need some innovation like layer 2's solution out there.
I think my answer is going to be just a little more like synthetic than analytical. It's just going to be time. I think the probably, you know, few individuals more excited about these levels of innovation and for the brain drain coming to make Bitcoin, or at least experiment with being programmatic, but it's going to take a lot longer than people think it's going to do. Taking an asset class which is not programmatic design, has like 2, maybe now 3 native use cases, and thinking that you can take, you know, a paper of BitVM that just came out in December with 3 quite complicated pillars behind it, and pushing it onto this asset, which is not programmatic and brand new without any, you know, security considerations and potential hacks. Look at the 8 years of Ethereum, something that when you begin to build, it's Turing complete, I can build this in Solidity, I can throw anything together. That still took 8 years to get us where we are today, and we're nearing the edge, but still not finished, so I think time.
I think we don't have enough time. I think that's it for today.
Speaking of time.
Yeah.
Speaking of time, thanks for the panelists, all your input today. It's really great to hear all the thoughts and bright outlook for Bitcoin. And a lot of the companies that these guys mentioned today will be speaking later on this afternoon. I hope you guys can stick around and listen to the founders telling you guys their stories and their projects. Okay? Thank you all for your time today, everyone.